Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all: health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day. Hello, my beautiful Ecstatic Life listeners, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. If you don't know me, I am your host, Nicole Goff, and I am here to help you discover how you can make your life more joyful, more fulfilled, more pleasure-filled every single day. And today I am coming at you with a solo transmission, and I feel called to talk about something intimate and powerful and wildly underrated: self-massage. Not the sexy kind, but the kind that rewires your nervous system, boosts your immune system, and reconnects you to your body in the most nourishing ways possible. If you have listened to this podcast more than once or twice, you have most likely heard me talk about my ecstatic habits routine. And in fact, I have a whole episode about it. You should go back and listen because it gives the full tutorial of everything I do on a daily basis. But part of developing this routine was getting in touch with self-massage. And so this started out with lymphatic drainage massage and facial massage, and moved on to massaging other parts of my body. I have a roller ball that I use, and this really opened up a permission field for me to be comfortable with touching myself. So unfortunately, from toddlerhood, we have, most of us, been taught that putting our hands on our bodies is shameful in some way. And we have really been disconnected from self-touch. And this isn't even necessarily in a sexual way. So any sort of liberated self-touch is seen as weird. And I really had to tackle an inner critic inside of me when I started exploring this self-massage. And again, we're not talking about self-massage, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're not talking about self-massage in the sexually pleasurable way. We're talking about touching yourself for holistic, nourishing health reason. And even that felt like a stretch. We are so used to outsourcing this kind of power to other people, paying somebody else to do a massage, or, going to a spa and getting a facial. And therefore, this nourishing touch and this kind of care becomes, number one, inaccessible for a lot of people, or number two, something that's seen as a luxury that you can only access at certain special times, like you get a massage for your birthday or something like that. But this idea that we are deserving of this kind of loving touch on a daily basis, and that we can give it to ourselves, is kind of radical. I had, looked to my partner, but again, to outsource that, to put that on someone else, to rub your back when you're feeling, achy or whatever, while that's a wonderful way to connect to your partner, while that is a wonderful practice for intimacy to have with somebody else, to have to rely on, well, maybe they're too tired, or maybe they're not in a good mood, or maybe you're really stressed out because you're in an argument with that person and you're going to be damn sure not asking them to rub your back in that moment. So really taking that, power back rather than outsourcing it, and being able to give to yourself is really monumental. And so, like I said, this is definitely seen as weird in our culture. It definitely starts in childhood. And many of us are reprimanded for touching our own bodies, from a young age. And so we learn not to. We are conditioned not to. So probably other people will experience the same thing or have experienced the same thing of feeling weird about giving yourself loving touch. And so I'm just curious, I would invite you all right now to ask yourself, like, do you flinch at the idea of lovingly, gently touching yourself? Like, can you do that in this moment without feeling weird? Can you, hug yourself or stroke yourself? Like, if you are listening, you can't see this, but if you are watching on YouTube, you can see me demonstrating gently touching my body and my face. And can you do that without feelings of shame or just strangeness coming up? And, I invite you also to see, do you feel numb in some area? Do you disconnect? Does it make you want to pull away? Because a lot of this conditioning is still living in our bodies and in our psyches and does show up in that way. So I definitely invite you now to see if you can give yourself some sort of loving touch and receive it without needing permission, without needing a reason. Because like I said, this is an act of devotion. This is radical self-nurturing. This is meeting our own needs before outsourcing care. And this is also how we mother ourselves, how we come back into contact, into relationship with parts of ourselves that we have ignored or rejected or simply forgotten. This is how I showed up and started mothering myself when I had been literally sick and tired for 7 years. So when I became pregnant with my fifth baby, about 3.5, 4 years ago, I had a history of having the worst postpartums because I would overdo and overgive. And in my postpartums, I had previously, with my four daughters before my son, had just completely debilitating mastitis where I was in bed for 24 hours, fever, chills, just, completely unable to function for a dozen times, approximately. I think one time it was 13, 14, 15 times with each of those 4 children in the first year of their life. And there were multiple times where I would get mastitis twice in 1 month. It was so awful. And if you've never had mastitis and you have children, you are so lucky. It is an awful, awful experience. And this was my body's way of just, like sit down, lay down, take care of yourself, relax, because I was such an overdoer. And so during that 5th pregnancy, I said, no more. That was when I had started my self-care journey. And I said, no more. I will not get to that point in this postpartum. And so I started doing some research and I found that lymphatic drainage, stagnant lymph fluid, was connected to the mastitis. And so that was when I started learning about lymphatic massage. And that is one of the major things that I see that kept me more well. I did still get mastitis a couple of times, but it was nothing like the 4 pregnancies before that. Learning the lymphatic self-massage was the beginning of this journey and learning to be, just honestly more comfortable with my body and more loving and caring with myself. And it really became this anchor for not only immune resilience, because it completely bolstered my immune system and completely changed the terrain of my health, but it also became an anchor for self-trust and to build this more trusting relationship with myself where my body could exhale and feel taken care of, feel held. So I did a whole tutorial video on my private Patreon membership on lymphatic drainage. And it is also a part of my ecstatic habits part 1, which is the 7-day detox routine. So in both of those places, I have a lymphatic drainage tutorial. And if this is something that you've never heard of, it is, so your lymph system is basically your body janitorial crew, the cleanup. It's, cleaning the yuck out of your body, but it needs your help to move. So the lymphatic system does not pump on its own the way your heart does. You actually have to move your body in order to move the fluid. And so really our bodies were designed to be moving a whole lot more than they do now. And so we are stagnant because we are not running and jumping and walking 5 miles a day like historically throughout human history we have. And so now it is really helpful because we have so much more sedentary lifestyles to support your lymphatic system by doing lymphatic drainage. And you do this by gentle massage, on your body. And again, like I said, I have tutorials. I'm not going to go into the whole technique right now, but in my podcast that I did about detox, I talk about it there too. And I think I talk about the dry brushing, which is, I also have videos out about that too. So if you're interested in the full tutorial and more of a deeper dive into this, definitely run to my website, and it's just $47 for the 7-day detox package. Or if you want to join my Patreon, the $5 a month club, those are there also. And it literally just takes like 5 minutes a day and has profound impact. It is really health-wise been so key to my wellness journey. And so some of the things that it helps with, reduced swelling, better immunity, pain relief, faster healing, hormonal regulation, better digestion, clearer skin, like I said, preventing illnesses and chronic inflammation. After I started that, I actually did not get sick for over a year. I have had in the last couple of years, like 2 colds. It's been crazy, which, like I said before, I was sick all the time. So after 2014, when I had my second daughter, I kind of got into this chronic stress and chronic illness state. And it wasn't until just a few years ago that I pulled myself out of that and really reclaimed my health. And the lymphatic massage has been such a big part of that. And when I learned the lymphatic massage, like I said, it was a different thing to start massaging myself. And so the next step I took after that was I learned about facial massage, because there's a ton of lymph passageways in your face. And this led me into this rabbit hole, which now with like face yoga and people are learning more about the gua sha. So this is probably more like in the zeitgeist now. People know more about facial massage, but at the time, there was like almost nobody talking about it when I first got into it. So I took a 3-month facial massage course, and it was just life-changing in the way it then opened up this permission field for me to care for myself in that way. And you didn't just learn facial massage in this program. You learned how to use the massage ball and to, massage your shoulders and your back and your arms. And, it was like full body massage tutorials that you did for yourself. And each one was working with fascia that actually, connected to the face. That, I learned that tension in your shoulders and in your neck actually can pull on your face and make it like sag or make things, not work in the way that they're supposed to. So it's actually about beauty also, and not just health. But this massage does, release the lymphatic fluid and it helps to, tone your face. It also massaging on your skin gives you like a more like a youthful glow and less puffiness. Um, and I did notice, like, after I had started implementing this for months, that I started looking younger, that my face, my skin, everything started looking so much healthier. It's also really good for jaw tension release. Like, we hold so much tension in our jaws. So many women are biting back our words and just, grinning and bearing it and holding so much tension here. So doing daily facial massage helps to relieve that tension. It's also good for absorbing your skincare products. It helps you absorb your skincare products better. You'll get better results from your products by incorporating the facial massage with them. It also helps with sinus pain relief and headaches. When you're doing the facial massage, you don't just work on the face, but like the back of the neck and the back of the skull. And it's definitely helped me with tension headaches. And not only that, but to understand how to relieve headaches if they come on, because that was another thing that I was suffering with a lot. Um, you know, being tense and upset all the time, biting back my words all the time, trying to keep the peace in my house when I really wanted to fight with my husband, would a lot of times give me these tension headaches that would start in the back of my neck and then radiate up my skull. And now, if I've been tense and I haven't realized it and I start feeling that tension coming on, I now have learned how to, by myself, touch myself in a way that relieves that tension so that I can be my own healer, that I don't have to outsource to a massage therapist, that I don't have to outsource to Tylenol or, painkiller, and that I can actually be my own healthcare provider and care for myself in that way has been really awesome. Another thing that the facial massage has brought me has been boost in my self-esteem. you know, I feel that it has helped me. Not only I feel like I look better, I look younger, but something about giving yourself that loving touch in that way boosts your confidence. It really makes you feel good about yourself. That loving attention that you're giving yourself every day translates out to feeling more self-confident, more radiant. And not only that, but the self massage and the facial massage, particularly, is really, really helpful for regulating your nervous system. So, this can be a way to really come back home to yourself. And especially, I start the day. So, my morning routine, and again, I think I have a whole podcast on my ecstatic habits, and I talk about the full morning routine. But a part of that morning routine is after I shower and wash my face, I use rosehip oil and I do a facial massage in the morning before I get up with my kids and start making breakfast and, doing all the things, whatever coaching stuff I have to do, podcast, whatever's on the schedule. I start by this deep self-care practice by giving to myself. And that really helps to set the tone for the day. Starting out in this calming, nourishing, and it feels good. I mean, it's not painful. I guess sometimes if you have really bad jaw tension, you could get in there a little deeper and, work a little harder. But it's on a daily basis, what I'm doing, it feels good. I mean, imagine going to a spa and getting a facial, but you can give yourself that experience. And it's not to say that you don't ever want to pay someone else, because yes, to just be able to relax and let it all go and let someone care for you is amazing. And I'm not trying to say also that we don't need that we don't need loving touch from our partners and from, our families and from hired professionals to do things like facials and massage for us. But there is also something very empowering about not having to rely on that, by being able to show up for ourselves in that way. And so That being said, I would really like to invite you all to take up a 5-minute commitment each day to make a sacred date with your own body each day to give yourself some sort of loving touch, to show up for yourself in this way each day and give your body that signal of safety and love and support. And if you need more support on learning how to do this, if you need more guidance, please feel free to reach out to me. You can message me, leave a comment, jump on my Patreon and watch my private videos. Join my 7-day detox, which is way more than just self-massage. There is a ton of good information in there. Or you can reach out to me about one-to-one coaching, and I can help you build a super nourishing self-care routine that includes this kind of work. And if you need to go deeper with some of the conditioning around shame or hesitation about self-touch, self-massage, we can work on that too. Thank you for receiving this transmission. I hope it has helped to make your life a little bit more ecstatic today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. Please share your experience in the comments and also share this video. It helps my channel out a lot. Until next time, goodbye, lovelies.